Many people read the works of Giordano Bruno, but few are able to understand them because he's hidden the meaning in poetry and code. In this video, I will explain the secrets, the key to unlocking the hidden mysteries contained in his works, in plain language, allowing you to meet Bruno and understand his teachings with ease. So let's start to explore Bruno's teachings. First and foremost, everyone knows that Bruno is a memory expert, and all his teachings revolve around memory techniques. But do we really know what he meant when he said memory? You see, during his day, the word memory had a lot more to it and some very different connotations. Memory referred to anything you could form in your mind. And yes, it mostly was used to refer to things from the past, but it was also used as a creative technique to imagine things and create things in the future. If you wanted to invent something, you'd make an inventory in your memory and move on to that next stage of creativity. Likewise, memory also had all the associations that we would modernly put to creative visualization or self-hypnosis. There was an idea that practicing memory could change you. This belief that whatever you remembered, whatever you put into your mind became you, was ubiquitous across the whole of Europe in the day. So if you were to memorize a poem about being brave until you could recite it with ease, you would become more brave. Likewise, if you were to meditate upon a statue of an angel of truth and learn all the symbolism behind that angel, the meaning of its wings, what it's holding, its clothing, to the point where you could see it clearly in your creative memory, you would be able to become at one with that truth, and you would speak only the truth and be better at seeing truth in your life. Church authorities in the day had indeed explained this process in detail, and Bruno had read some of the greatest works that discussed this. So, for example, St. Thomas Aquinas and indeed his teacher St. Albert the Great both believed that this worked by putting that knowledge into something they called your estimative ability. This was really their term for the animal self or subconscious. It was as if by remembering something, you were creating a association, the same kind of association or learning experience you would get from a dramatic event. The example they use is being bitten by a wolf. If you get bitten by a wolf, this only has to happen once and you've learnt it completely, that you don't need to practice. Likewise, they believed if you really memorize something properly, it would put that lesson to the same area of your subconscious that the dramatic events in life go into, and thus it would shortcut the process. Bruno had most certainly taken this teaching on board, but he also believed there was something deeper and more significant happening. I sat under the shadow of who I desire, and it was delightful, and the fruits were sweet for me. This is a quote that you've probably heard before because Bruno uses it everywhere. So much so that we could say it's his motto. In fact, his students start to put this in their books too. And it's central to understanding what Bruno means by shadows. You see, the quote comes from a section of the Bible in the Song of Solomon, and it's comparing one's true love to an apple. It says that amongst all the trees in the forest there's the apple, and amongst all the people in the world there's my true love, and I sit in their shadow and I receive sweet fruits. It's about receiving blessings by being in the right presence. Now, this might seem like a very strange concept initially, but if we all stop and think, we have had experiences when this is true. Maybe you were in the right team at one point, or had the right people around you and it just worked better. Maybe there was an environment, you went on holiday, or you changed things in a room and it just worked better. Maybe you've visited a place which was empowered and it empowered you. So Bruno's whole philosophy and his techniques are centered around receiving blessings from being in the presence of something positive. Now, within Christianity, this quote had already been repeatedly interpreted in the same way. The idea is that if you put yourself into the right state and you are in the presence of something higher, something blessed, you will be blessed too. For Bruno, the shadows that he was seeking to sit in and the blessings he was wanting to receive were a little bit more specific. Bruno believed that if you memorized something in detail, if you created enough resonance and sympathy with something, then you would connect with it. And this would work through the following manner. First, the image would be in you. You would have memorized and you would have contemplated and really created a clear inner statue or inner symbol which created a resonance. Bruno believed that this would start to link you with the whole concept in what he called the world soul. The world soul was probably the name in the day for what we'd call the group subconscious now. It's the whole energy around the world. So if you were creating a symbol for love, if you were memorizing love, eventually you would go beyond yourself and you'd start to connect with all the love in the world. But there's more. Bruno believed that if you continued with this practice, you would go beyond the world soul and you would connect with the original thought of love, the divine presence of love, which is in the mind of divinity. And this would elevate you. You would receive blessings, powers, and abilities by becoming at one with it. Now we have established that Bruno's system and his methods are focused on allowing you to sit in the presence of, or the shadow of, an original concept or idea. The aim is that you will receive the blessings from being in this positive influence. But how do you do it? Well, Bruno and many of his contemporaries were well educated in this matter because it wasn't a new concept. You can read in texts from Plato through to Hermes Trismegistus to Plotinus that contemplating an idea can lead you towards it or allow it to send its influence towards you. Plotinus states, when a soul shines towards something which is above it, there is a contraction that brings these two together. And we'll be talking a little bit more about contraction very soon. In the Corpus Hermeticum, it states that an idea can be like a magnet or lodestone, is a term they use, which lifts you up towards it. The whole idea is to get in resonance with this original concept or higher force through the law of sympathy. Bruno's instructions are very clear when it comes to this once you know what he's doing. So he states that you need to make sure your memory has many different layers to it so that you can focus your mind completely on that concept or idea. So going back to our angel of truth, you will be memorizing all the syllogisms of logic, all the benefits of truth, all of the ways to perceive truth. You'll be memorizing poems and images, everything on that angel, which will keep your mind just on truth in meditation without disturbance. Now, this whole technique not only requires a lot of practice, but it also requires a wholeness of the self. Your mind, if it's not in harmony, if it's not at peace, if you're not purified, will keep moving you off to other things. He also states that the image must become constant and clear. He makes absolutely firmly plain that you must connect with your mind, but also your heart. The whole of you must be directed towards this memory so that you can achieve a sense of oneness. This clarity also requires intensity. Just like a shadow is only clear when the light is bright, you've got to keep aware, you've got to keep focused, you've got to rest your mind completely on this image, on this memory, on this concept, and then you'll start to make the connection. When you have managed to get this right, you will experience something that Bruno calls contraction. But what did Bruno mean by contraction? If you've already studied the Eastern traditions of meditation, you probably already have a very clear idea of what he's talking about. Contraction is samadhi. It's an ecstatic oneness with the subject that you are meditating upon. Now that we can see this connection, many people watching this video can see it all fall into place. The instructions in the ancient yogic manuals for meditation are almost identical to Bruno's suggestions for your memorization. And likewise, the outcomes are the same. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, it's very clear that if you meditate on something and become at one with it, you will receive its qualities. If you meditate upon an elephant, you will gain great strength. If you meditate upon the sun, you will understand the movements of the planets. This is the same as gaining the fruit from sitting in the shadows. Now, Bruno had probably started using this term contraction after he read it in that quote from Plotinus I mentioned. Or it could have been from, there's a book called the Book of Causes, which I know he possessed and had influence upon him, that uses contraction in this very specific way. Wherever he took this term, he really ran with it, and you can see in his works many different techniques listed to achieve contraction upon one thing. This ecstatic state of union where there's no you, only the subject that you're meditating upon or remembering, can be achieved from ways that Bruno doesn't recommend, like fasting or exercising yourself or going into some kind of ecstatic trance. But there are other methods. Of course, he recommends using memory to keep your mind on something for a fixed period, or going beyond yourself and directly into that higher presence. But Bruno's teachings are more than just a method of meditation through memory. There's also a schedule and a syllabus. But what is that schedule, and how can we take advantage of it to gain those benefits and sit in those shadows? During this video, we've explored the hidden meanings behind many of Bruno's words. We started off by learning what he really meant when he said memory. We moved on to his concept of shadows and how sitting under the influence of something by filling our mind with it would lead to benefits and changes within ourselves.
We went on to contemplate contraction, the highest expression of this practice. But now, and finally, I need to give you the fourth part of the key. I'm talking about the golden chain. The golden chain is an alchemical code. It's a concept which comes from a quote in the Iliad. The quote is talking about how if a chain was to be thrown down from Olympus, everyone could pull on it, but Zeus would never leave his throne. But with one quick tug, someone could be pulled up to heaven. This is about how we can ascend to higher states of consciousness through progressive efforts. The chain is the syllabus for your memorization or contemplations. Now, you are probably already aware of some golden chains in other traditions. Bruno would be absolutely amazed to discover that the Indian yogis used to memorize the symbols and the meanings and the mantra of each one of the chakras as their ascent through a golden chain within themselves. He himself was aware of many other symbols representing this golden chain, whether it be the Kabbalistic tree of life or the zodiac with the decans or the mansions of the moon. But what is consistent between all these different chains and all these different systems is that they're progressive. You can't achieve a oneness of focus, you can't achieve samadhi or contraction on something unless you've got oneness inside. So the meditations normally start off with those which will purify you. Maybe you'll be mastering yourself by mastering the four elements: earth, water, air and fire. These could represent your ability to be aware and stable, your ability to be intuitive and emotional, your ability to be intellectual and expansive, your ability to have a strong will. You can see how earth, water, air and fire could symbolize these respectively. Then and only then, when you've achieved inner harmony and balance and empowerment, are you capable of these higher contemplations. Bruno himself says that these higher mysteries, these higher achievements actually protect themselves. You'll find you can't quite remember, you can't quite visualize. The images and the ideas will shield you because you're not ready. So it's important to have a teacher and to walk up that chain, that ladder, with someone at your side who's done it before. My name is Martin Folks, and I hope that this final piece of the key allows you to unlock the mysteries and privileges of Bruno's teachings. Until next time, let's make every word, thought, and action count.